So here we are at written practice. Now, I'm having you do 1 through 10 all, 12 and 13, and then 22 through 30 even. Okay. So starting off, we can do our written practice here. The band marched in 14 rows with an equal number of members in each row. Okay, so 14 is going to be equal for each row. If there were 98 members in the band, how many members were in each row? Okay, so we're going to do 98, and we're going to divide that by 14. Okay, and that'll be our answer. So for here, we go ahead and 14 goes into 98, so that doesn't really help us, does it, right? Because the you can't do that in multiple steps, right? You just got to do it all in one anyway. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to just start somewhere and then I'll move from there, right? I could start with 14 and then do 28 and then I can do 42. I can move up, but I'm going to start with just times. Let's start by timesing 6. So 14 times 6, okay? 4 times 6 is 24. 6 times 1 is 6, 7, 8. So that's 84. Okay, 84 is, of course, too shy, but if I add one more 14 to that, I'll get 98, which does tell me that 7, 6 and then 7, is correct. So there were 7 members in each row. Olga bought 5 cartons of 1 dozen eggs. How many eggs did she have? So 5 times 12 equals 60. The 5 kilometer or 5,000 meter hiking trail will have markers placed every 800 meters. How many markers will be used? All right, so we want to make sure we're using like terms. So yes, they give us 5 kilometers, or kilometers. That's not very helpful to us. What we do need is we need to use the 5,000 meters. So that way, 5,000 and 800 are in the same unit of measurement. So how many markers will be used? So we're going to go ahead and do 5,000 and divide it by 800. Okay. Well, this is, of course, another pain in the butt here, right? Because if I go ahead and try to do 800 into 500 or 550 or 500, it's not going to work. I have to kind of do it all in one go. So I can make my life a little easier by getting rid of 2 of these zeros, and I can just think about 8 going into 50, okay? And it'll be roughly similar here. So 8 goes into 50. Now that's one I might actually know, right? Because 8 times 6 is 48 with a remainder of 2. So if I were to try to do this, I'm going to leave it with a remainder. If I go and I do 800 times 6, I'm pretty sure we're going to get 4,800. Okay, so there's going to be 200 meters that are not that will not have markers on it. Okay, and I think that's going to be okay. And the reason why, and my reasoning on why I'm just going to say 6 and not go ahead and not worry about the remainder is because we have our start and we have our finish. If every so often, every 800 meters, 800 we got 1, another 800 we got another 3, 4, 5, 6, right? With each of these, or each of these being 800. This last bit is only 200 meters difference, okay? But there's no reason to use an extra one because we have the finish line. The finish line will count as their final marker. That's my reasoning. If you want to say 7, and because you assume the finish line needs a marker, that would also make sense, as long as you go through and explain your reasoning. For Fadi bought 3 pounds of apples at $1.98 a pound. The total cost of the apples can be found using which equation? All right, so which one of these makes more sense? We're looking at the total cost of the apples. So if it's $1.98 for every set of apples, I'm thinking that's B. Okay. 5, there are a total of 200 students and chaperones going on a field trip. Each bus can hold 60 passengers. How many buses will be used for the field trip? Okay. So here we have 200, and each can hold 60. Now again, this is more math where we're really just kind of trying to figure it out. Now, I do know 6 and 20, which we can go ahead and think about this in that same context. 6 goes into 20 3 times, and that gives me 18 with a remainder of 2. Okay. I'm okay with that remainder, and the reason why is because, much like in this example, this is a real-world sort of situation, and we're trying to figure out how many buses they're going to need. So we can't just say 3, because then people will be left behind. So we're going to have to round up in order to make sure that they have enough buses. This means that not all buses will be full, and that's fine. So I'm going to say 4 buses. Okay. Ooh, I guess bus doesn't need that extra S. On Lee's first attempt on the long jump, she jumped 297 centimeters. On her second attempt, she jumped 306. How much further was her second jump from the first? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do 306. That's her longest. And 297. And we'll just figure out the difference. So it looks like the difference is 9 centimeters. So her longest was, she is increased by 9 centimeters. Zoe, Ella, and May ate lunch at the deli. The cost of Zoe's meal was $8, Ella's was $9, and May's was $7. What was the total cost of their bill before tax? Well, that's 8 plus 9 plus 7, which equals 24. So $24. That's before tax and also before tip. You got to make sure you tip. Okay. I would do a $4 tip here. But this is extra. Aaron was awake for 14 hours. He spent 6 of those hours at school. How many of Aaron's wakeful hours was he not at school? So 14 hours that he was awake, 6 that he was at school. So we just figure out that he was not at school for 8 hours. Okay. 9, write a word problem for this equation. Go ahead and do that here. Let's see. Mr. T went out for dinner, or went out for a snack with $5 in his pocket. When he came back, he had $150. How much did he spend? Okay. Wider word problem for this equation. N times 125 equals 125. Okay. So in this case, we'll say each student paid Mr. T $25 to get the answers to the test. Mr. T ended with $125. How many students cheated? Or how many students bribed Mr. T? I don't know, you can make anything up. Okay, so that's 1 through 10. Now I wanted to do 12 and 13. Compare which is bigger. Now 8 is of course bigger than 7, absolute value. But if we're talking about would you rather owe $7 or owe $8, I'd rather owe $7. B, 5 is bigger than -6. Absolute value, 8 is better. And absolute value, these are equal. Okay. 22 through 30. If 3 times 7 equals 21, what other multiplication fact and what two division facts are true? 7 times 3 equals 21. 21 divided by 3 equals 7. And 21 divided by 7 equals 3. 24, what number is opposite of 10? That would be -10. 26, which change in height is greater? 54 inches to 63 inches, or 48 to 59. So what difference is bigger? So we have a difference of 9 inches here, and we have a difference of 11 inches here. So I would say the bigger is this second one. Which total cost is less? 25 tickets for $5 each, or 20 tickets for $6 each? 5 times 25 is $125. 20 times 6 is $120. So the total cost is bigger here. Okay. That wasn't even in. Man, I just get on a roll and keep going. Use braces and digits to indicate the set of whole numbers. Oh, that doesn't make sense. Okay, I'll skip 28. Because that you have to use that for... You would not be able to do this one without doing 27. Yeah, so just don't worry about that. 30. Which two numbers satisfy this equation? So this would be the absolute value of n. This is actually a much more difficult question, I think, than maybe you've seen before. The absolute value of n is equals to 1/2. Okay. Now that means that 1/2 equals 1/2, right? But also the absolute value of what also equals 1/2. That'd be -1/2. Okay. Both half and -1/2 are equal there. Okay. That's kind of a weird one. I don't think the book has really done much to set this up, so you may have struggled there. All right, guys. That is your work for the day. So have a good one.